how to delegate and organize your life like a rock star. Hi, it's Dianne here with an amazing expert on organization and delegation. Her name is Nicole Carver, and I've known her for several years. Nicole is a person who helps people live the life they want to live by taking off their hands the very things that slow them down. She's a lifestyle manager, expert, amazing woman on lots of different levels. She has a great family and a great business that she has created this amazing service for people. And she knows how to help you organize your life and delegate things and work with things so that you can be more happy, more fulfilled, and more successful. So I'm so excited to ask Nicole all kinds of questions today. So thank you, Nicole, for coming to the show today to talk about these very important pieces for us visionaries.
Well, Dianne, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to be asked.
I think it's so important for people to understand what is a lifestyle manager. Like, I think that is a great description of what you do, but explain to everybody a little bit about what that is.
Sure. Lifestyle manager, we handle everything that is on somebody's to-do list that doesn't give them joy or make them money.
That is
So that's everything from whether it varies person to person, whether it's filling the fridge and picking up the dry cleaning to planning travel or organizing the house. It looks different for everybody, what falls into those categories and what they don't want to be bothered with.
That is so amazing. So do you ever have people that you work with who almost feel guilty for turning over the things they don't want to do? Because I mean, I was always taught just suck it up and do the stuff you don't want to do. And if it slows you down, too bad. And so do you ever have any of your clients have trouble with feeling guilt for turning over those things?
I think we do. I think we're programmed that more so as women than men. We've watched our mothers before us manage everything.
Right.
But life has changed a lot. We want different things and we move on different paths. We have businesses, we have families, and you want to have the quality in both. So it's learning to let go of some. And do some people hesitate? Yes. I say that there's one foot on the gas when they hire you, and then immediately there's the foot on the brake, like, oh no, what have I done? And I'm really not sure I'm ready to let go of this. So we sort of wade into that with our clients. And it is a lot of relationship building and trust building, and sometimes showing them we can do it exactly like you want it, or sometimes we do it maybe better than they thought they would. And the end result is exactly what they needed.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. So share with everybody a little bit about your journey and how you came up with this idea to create this amazing company around organizing and delegating and helping people take those things off their plate. How did this all start?
Well, my past business career sort of led me in this direction. And then the seasons in my own life showed me the need for it as well. I'm originally from Vermont, long way to end up in Florida, but we got here around the world a little bit. And when we moved to Tampa, I needed to take some of the skills that I had and be able to create a business that fulfilled me around my family's needs. And I had worked as an executive staff assistant for years, supporting C-suite level executives, government officials at different capacities. And the relationships I always had with them were wonderful. And it segued into opportunities to do things for them personally as well as professionally. My own life, I found numerous times at different changes and different stories in my life where I needed support, and not wanting to always depend on friends and family, knowing what that looked like or where to find the resources was what's been created by encompassed in Carver Concierge. Is we are that one stop. You can call us to talk through the process, to figure out what you need, how we're going to work it out. And we have a pool of resources. And I thought, oh my gosh, had I had that would have made life so much easier for me a multitude of times during parenting and transitions in life experience and moving. And now I can bring that all together for other people. That's sort of how it evolved. It was thinking of what I would have loved to have had.
Oh, that's genius though, too, because you do bring so many varied things. It's from your life experience. It all just coalesced together into this really great idea. So what are the biggest obstacles you've faced, maybe even internal obstacles that you've had to deal with in order to become as successful as you are? Did you ever have like doubt or worry or difficulty with creating what you wanted to create?
Doubts and difficulties, I think those come every day. We always have some self doubt, right? Whether sometimes we jump in and say, of course we can do that. And then we figure it all out along the way. But you have to trust that if you're going to say yes, you can do it. I think somewhere deep down that you can. But there have been some hurdles that once you get in part way, you're like, oh boy, now I really got to pull this rabbit out of the hat. And we have, and it's a challenge, and it makes me push beyond my own comfort zone every time I agree to do something that I haven't done before. Like I can do this, I can figure this out. If it can be done, we will find the way to do it. And that probably my own biggest obstacle is learning to ask for help and delegating some of the things I need done as well.
Oh, so you're still learning sometimes personally how to do the very thing you're offering other people, which is the perfect match, right?
It is, right? What I learn, I can teach. Or
Right.
or
Well,
you hope that you learn from some of the things you learn from your clients along the way and what you see, where we provide the ease for them in learning my own lesson.
right. And I'm also thinking that it gives you a really powerful way to empathize with the people that call you, or maybe the person's got their foot on the gas and then they really slam on the brakes, or they have a hard time with how to do that. Well, you know what that feels like.
I do.
You know,
Absolutely.
you know what it feels like to free yourself from burdens that you don't need, and how to delegate, and that push pull, that yes no dynamic. And since you intimately know it, it makes it a lot easier for you to relate to your clients, I would imagine.
It does. It allows me, I think, that sense to know where it's coming from when you experience it yourself, and where you can feel the hesitation and how you can help them get beyond that.
Right.
We all need a little coaxing and support and a coach.
Exactly. So you're like act as all of those things, different hats on.
A little bit, I think, yes.
Yes. So what I'm really curious about is, I'm like, I've got lots of curious questions for you. What I'm really curious about is, how do you help people overcome their procrastination? Like, here you are with this really great service, and somebody says, yeah, it's really great. And then they're kind of procrastinating with what to do. What are some tools that you do? Like, somebody's listening to us somewhere and they're going, yeah, that's really great, but I don't really know how I would do it. And so they would procrastinate. What would be a couple steps somebody can start taking in order to be more comfortable with delegating and organizing and making that shift, maybe that they know they need to make, but are a
Sometimes
little scared?
we do a brain dump initially. I think that's the best way to explain it. It's like, just put down all the things you want to accomplish, all the tasks that you have pending. And then we sort of separate it into, what do you like to do? What are you least resistant to doing?
Mm.
And what do you need to really do to move you forward the quickest? And let's pick from that list and start there. What's really going to make the biggest difference in your life to get it off your plate, and that you're not going to do, no matter how many times it's that thing at the bottom of the list that carries over to the top of the list every single day. We all have them. And those are typically the best places to start, because when you see those disappear off the list and they don't get carried over every day, it's such a good feeling.
Mm. It's freedom.
It is freedom.
Yeah.
Right? When I am the queen of the checklist, because I love to put things down and see them go away. And when the list is empty at the end of the day, or those things are at least gone by the end of the week, it feels so good when it's done.
Yeah. Do you ever put anything on the list so you can mark it off?
Oh yeah.
I
There's
do.
nothing better than starting with the simple things and knowing you've got some checked off right away.
Right. And sometimes I'm in the middle and it's not on the list. And so I add it to the list so I can check it off. Then that way I go, wow, look at the done list at the end. All
See?
the,
It makes you feel good.
yes. It's very fun. It's very,
Yeah, I
very
think we
fun.
all do that. Even if people won't admit it, I think they do it.
Yeah. I think we do too, even if we're doing it in our minds, so we can pretend like we don't really do it.
Right? Absolutely.
That's how people do it. So when it comes to learning, getting organized, I have a client of mine who inevitably struggles with um, papers everywhere, stuff everywhere, That's the description. I've never physically seen it, but that's what they say. And when I make the suggestion of maybe having somebody help organize the papers, the stuff, I hear some pushback. So obviously they have a little bit of a challenge with it. So if somebody's listening to you and they know they have to do some better organization, but they're feeling resistant to letting someone help them, do you have any steps you could share that maybe could help somebody get started and then they could see where the help could actually be beneficial?
Absolutely. Even just doing something virtual like we're doing now, where you can hop on a call or FaceTime with somebody and you do it together, you section something out, just start with a small, whether it's one surface, and partner up with a friend. If it's not even a professional, put on some music you like, call a friend and say, I'm going to get through just this while we're talking on the phone or we're enjoying this time. It doesn't have to be a horrible task when you do it. If you surround yourself with a little bit of fun, it makes it go quicker and it gets done.
I love that idea. I love the fun. I know I put on different music to motivate me to do different things.
I know I was listening to something the other day, and I think it was one of your podcasts where a woman said she had a hard time getting out of bed and she hollers, "Hey, Alexa, play Uptown Funk." And how can you not get out of bed to that, right? The same thing with doing some of these tasks. Don't make it such a task.
Yes, I think the word that we use, if you say it's like, oh, I have to do this, that energy alone will suck whatever you have out of you. Yeah, that's really, really cool. So how do you translate somebody's vision of what they say they want into a reality? Like, I want to be more organized, Nicole, but I don't really know where to start, or I don't know what to do. And I've written all these lists and I have all this stuff, but like, now what do I do? How do you translate that?
Well, I think you said it perfectly. It's the vision. It's talk through what would the vision, what would this look like, and what would this feel like when it was all done to you perfectly in a perfect world. And then you start rewinding backwards and not making things complicated for people either. Nobody needs a 14-step filing system because then you're never going to remember how to use it. And it's just one more reason not to use it. It's make the steps simple and easy. It's like when you get the mail and you come in through the garage, sort the mail and don't bring the junk in the house. Then you don't have a pile at the end of the week that's all the junk mail because it never made it to the kitchen counter.
To start with.
Sometimes it's just having somebody tell you the simple step to do it and taking your backwards vision and breaking it down to really realistic. And I think that's part of what has to be involved is it has to be realistic. It has to be manageable. It can't be, like I said, 15 steps that you didn't have time to do the first 3. So now you're never going to go back and look at it, or it's going to feel daunting.
Right. I go through that sometimes if I get too many things. It's like, I can't get through it. So
taking somebody's big vision and creating the end result is really what feeds me and our team. We all find like, ooh, that was the win. Like, this is what you wanted. And you didn't know how you were going to get there. But now it's all done and it's exactly what you wanted.
It's like a mini genius network. Joe Polish on Genius Network says everything can be accomplished with the right genius network. Absolutely. And that's it. And that's his trademark. And that's what he calls everything. And I just love that phrase because it's true. You put the right network together and it's a genius network, right?
It is.
Then you accomplish things beyond your wildest dreams because everybody's doing their part of the vision because that's their piece that they love to do.
Right. That's how our team works too. Everybody has things that they're really, really good at. We work great cohesively and we do everything else, but we have people that like to organize. We have people like to do the relocation. We like people who like to manage the outside home projects. And so it really makes us a really great team when you have that whole network.
Wow. That is really cool. So can you think of somebody you helped, a client or somebody, a situation, and tell us like the before and after, like how they started and then what ended up happening, what their process was, if they had any challenges or anything that you look back and go, wow, that was really a great transformation for that person?
I think we had a client about 3 years ago, and she was an only child. She had her parents had both passed away. Both parents had been remarried and passed away. She had a great aunt who had passed away and another family member. And then she had gone through a divorce. So in the midst of all of that, everybody's belongings, when homes had been cleaned out, ended up in hers. And then she was divorced and the house was getting sold. And now she had all of everybody's items plus her own that had to be sorted out. And we worked with her for a good number of hours over a couple of weeks, and we broke it down. And it was items that really everything had to be handled. There was papers that had important documents mixed in with it. There was just numerous boxes. And to be able to go through that process, narrow it down for her, just the things that she had to look at, breaking it down into manageable chunks, and then taking care of all of it at the end for her. So she was left with just the important items that she needed. And the feeling that she had and the feeling that it gave us, that she was ready to move on to the next phase of her life without all of that surrounding her with just boxes of stuff.
And that's so heavy, that energy of all the stuff, and it's hard to get out of there. And I think that's one of the valuable parts of having a service like you, because you're not emotionally invested. Like, you care about the person and you're emotionally invested in the outcome, but you're not invested in the stuff. So that objectivity and that not being in the energy of it is a really valuable piece to help somebody learn how to be free. Like, sometimes if you ask friends and family, they're too in it with you.
Absolutely.
To help you get out. Right? Yeah, that
but
makes
still having to understand what the outcome needs to be at the end and how they need to feel about it. Right. Being able to work through all of that without separating completely.
Right. Yeah. It's
a great feeling when you've helped somebody get to the other side of something that just felt so, to use your word, heavy and overwhelming, and where to start, and that it was all manageable with some help.
Right. So you have to be willing to receive help.
You do.
Yes. So how do you deal with procrastination?
Are you asking me personally? Because I have some of that.
Well, I was asking you personally, but I also, with it, how do you help a client? But how do you personally, like, you're a visionary, you're a business owner, you're a mom, you're a wife, you've traveled the world, and you have a lot of life experience, and you've created a great business, and you've done all the inner personal development work in order to realize the business. Because our business can only grow as far as we have developed. So how do you handle your own procrastination? Because I'll bet it shows up sometime when it's trying to grow to the next level, or something happens, that little procrastination, little bug tries to jump in. So what do you do to keep yourself going after your vision, going after what's important to you, even in the face of that little voice?
Right. I think we all get there, and it's usually they're the biggest things that are going to move us forward, that we procrastinate the most on. And when we get to them, they're really not as big a deal as we thought they were to get through them. Speaking from experience, I just got my taxes finally taken care of. And that's that one thing that I procrastinate on. And when I finally sit down and do it, it's like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I worked it up in my mind to think it was going to take way more time and it was going to be way more painful than it was, and it wasn't. And I think that goes back to keeping things manageable in small chunks to reach the goal, not thinking that you have to tackle it all at once. So for me, managing those taxes is breaking it down into that once a month accountability call with my bookkeeper, so that at the end of the year, I'm not like, oh, where do I start? But I think that's with everything. Our clients procrastinate less because they get to give us the whole list, and we manage the list. So that removes some of that procrastination on those tasks that they know they're not going to take care of themselves.
Oh. So for all you procrastinators out there,
right,
having somebody like Nicole and her team in your corner, that could be a real win.
But even at home, I think sometimes the things that I would drag along, my husband will get done quicker. Or you delegate those over to somebody else. They don't, whether it's to a concierge or a business coach or a bookkeeper or somebody else who's going to take care of those tasks quicker, if you can't get yourself to them. I think it's okay to let go of things sometimes.
Oh, that's a good one. That's true. It's very true. That's a really good point. It's okay to let go of things because I think sometimes we have a death grip on the things that we want to control and do. We have to do ourselves.
We do.
When if we stepped back, we would go, don't really need a death grip and I'm bleeding anyway. So I should probably let go.
Right. And how good did it feel when it was given away and done?
Oh, yes. The given away and done, not just avoided, or
Exactly.
pretend like it's not there, put the head in the sand. And then when it rears up again, but when it gets given away and it's done, that's a whole nother conversation.
Right. Because when you're procrastinating on it, it really is. It's just this weight you drag around. It becomes heavy. It's always there. You feel a little defeated because it's still hanging on. You didn't get past it. You didn't move it out of the way. It's in your head. You're dragging it around like old luggage or dirty laundry
Or both.
or both.
Right. So how do you manage running this great business and your family? Like you have a nice work family balance. And so how do you manage that? What are some tips you could share with people who say, I want to have my business and get things going and do things and I'm a visionary, but I also got a family. Like how do you manage that so effectively?
Came with a learning curve. Didn't happen overnight. Especially when you have a home office, like a lot of people are finding now they're working at home and that looks a lot differently because you need to have really clear boundaries for yourself and your family as to where this is work time and this is not. And it's come with a learning curve for me. One of the best things that I think I was taught was to set the end of my day at the start of my day and work backwards from it, which is a lot like what we talked about in how you get through tasks.
Right.
If I have my end time at the end of the day already on my calendar and I set an alarm for 15 minutes before so I wrap it up, it allows me to really prioritize what needs to get done during the day and how that falls into line. And with the changes right now, my daughter started doing virtual school this year. She's home during the day, so I make it a priority to stop at lunchtime and have lunch with her and be done and shut the light off in my office by 5 o'clock. But it's just, again, focusing on the things that really are your non-negotiables.
Mm-hmm. I like that setting the end time when the day starts because I think for a lot of people with all of this COVID and working from home who aren't used to working from home or maybe don't even have a home office set up yet,
right,
or at all,
mm-hmm.
that it's easy for it to just keep bleeding into personal time. And then pretty soon, you're resentful because you don't have any personal time and it got sucked away without you paying attention to it happening. So
Well,
I
and
like
I
that
think
in
we're the
time.
same with our phones because we
Mm-hmm.
carry it around, and where do you put it down and where do you shut it off and where do you not check emails anymore and where do you just focus on what's right in front of you? And I think that's all life balance right now. Work and life balance all blend. It's all just a blend. There's no defined lines unless you create them anymore.
Right. So the key is creating the lines that work for you. And then
You
if they stop working, change them.
Well, and be a little fluid with them too.
Right.
Some days are more flexible than others. Some days of the week I work a little bit longer to afford to have a little bit less on other days.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I do that. Mondays are my busy days, but then other days are a lot different. And that's
Right.
the beauty of owning your own business. And it's the beauty of delegating your things in your life so that you can create the flexibility in the room and the space. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's an important piece. I think a lot of people who are visionaries are afraid to delegate and give away some of the things that really are in the way of the vision.
Oh, I agree. I know that when I'm in a creative space, if I can take certain pieces out of it, it allows my creativity to flow. So much better when I'm not bogged down in the minutia of it. Sometimes it's the technical aspect, and having somebody on my team that I can say, this is my vision and this is what I want to create. And then can you figure out the technical piece that we need to implement to get us there? We had one of those conversations today. So I delegate as well.
That is hilarious. I just had this really huge vision recently, and just about an hour ago, I was talking to a friend. I said, now I need to delegate this other part, this art part because I'm not the artist. And if I sit here and spend a lot of time trying to draw what I'm seeing, it's never going to work. So I've got to find somebody who I can say it to, and then I can tell them if, and she's like, yeah, that's a really good job delegating. She goes, that's why you get so much done. I said, well, I know what my skill set is, and I give away what's not in my skill set. I used to try to do it all because it's fun to play with it. But now I see that, it's fun to play with is a waste of time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm guilty of that when it comes to our social media. I'm like, I want to create the post this week, and then the color, and then you play with this and you find something else. And 2 hours later, I've gone down the rabbit hole and still haven't gotten the end result. So yes, delegating some of those things that just take up the extra time when you could be doing something much better.
Right. So rabbit holes are something that visionaries can fall in very, very easily. They can be emotional rabbit holes, or perfectionism rabbit holes, or overthinking rabbit holes, right? Or just mindless rabbit holes. We can fall down them at any time. That's really hilarious.
Yeah, there are potholes and there are rabbit holes, right? The potholes where you get 1 foot in, the rabbit holes when you're like fully down it, not coming back anytime soon.
Oh, I love that. There's potholes and there's rabbit holes. It's so true, right?
Right.
And there's moments that I got the foot in and it's a rabbit hole and I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right. Move on.
Keep on going. Keep on going. And other times where I'm like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, is anybody looking?
Is anybody looking? That's true. Like,
right?
okay,
Down
nobody's
the
watching.
Quick.
Nobody's watching and nobody's looking, and I don't have anything for a while. I'm really, and then later on, there's the price you pay, but that's okay. Sometimes it's worth it.
It is sometimes.
So I know you've traveled around the world, and I have a question that's really not business related, but it's fun. And that is, what's the most memorable food that you've eaten? Like, you've been all over, and I have heard some of the best answers about memorable food. So what sticks out in your mind?
Memorable food. Well, when we first moved to Germany, we didn't speak the language. So ordering off the menu was literally closing your eyes and pointing and wondering what we were all going to get. So there were a few experiences there. Luckily, German food is not too crazy. I think when we were in Croatia, there's a lot of rabbit on the menu. So that would probably be the most out of the box items that I've eaten that wouldn't typically be on our everyday menu.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah. That's so different.
Or you can walk through the open markets in Germany at Christmas time, and they have the full fish, like with his head still on it, and he's been grilled and he's on a stick, and you can just eat it on the go. That's beyond my capacity to do, but it happens.
It's memorable, all right.
It is, right? No bread needed.
Well, it's so interesting
for fish stick.
It's so interesting because when you think about all the different cultures and the diversity on this globe, right? And how we handle food, how we handle delegating, how we handle organizing. Certain countries are way less stuff oriented than a lot of Americans are, or the sizes of things are different. It's completely different in different cultures.
It is.
And so, do you use any of those kind of diverse viewpoints to help your team and yourself bring better organization to your clients? Like what was that book about keeping it simple, that Japanese book, if it doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it, or whatever it was.
Right.
I can't remember. I cannot remember it right now for anything, but a lot of my friends are like holding up stuff. It doesn't bring me joy, get rid of it. I said, well, is that dependent on the mood you're in?
I think so. It would
or how does that work?
I think it would be very mood dependent, at least for myself sometimes. Some days are better than others on what gives you joy, especially like when you're getting dressed in the morning, right? You could weed out your closet all on one day and the next day you'd be pretty sorry for it.
Because now what happens? What do I wear, right? So do you use any of the things that you've seen around the world in different ways or is most of the strategies you use the things that are time tested that you've used in your own world and your
I think they're pretty
world?
time tested, the things that we use over and over, that we know that they work and they fit. And because we're a boutique agency, we work really closely and more on an individual basis with people. So we're not cookie cutter, one size doesn't fit all. I think so. What works for one person might not be the exact fit for the other, or how you lead into working through a process isn't always the same.
Oh, okay. That is really, I love how you do your work, and I love how you handle your life with such poise and such grace.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love what I do, and I love being able to help others and finding ways to help people live a better quality of life.
Oh. And so what is the success indicator that the person lives their vision, gets their vision?
Absolutely.
I mean, because here's what I'm thinking. Maybe I should just say it this way. If I'm sitting here, okay, I have some projects I could give Nicole, and I think I have my vision. And I also know people, because I work with visionaries, who'll say one thing is their vision, and yet really they're seeking something else.
I think it's asking the right questions when you start and continuing to ask the questions along the way, because everybody's vision shifts. Sometimes you think, regardless of what it is, you think this might be, it's like the paint color on the wall. You might think that's what you wanted until you get it partly up there. Sometimes you have to step back and take a look at it and reevaluate what that is. And not be, I think it's just a process. You have to trust who you're working through the process with too.
Yeah, there's that trust and that bond, and asking questions on both parties' part.
Absolutely.
Always asking questions.
And being clear with everybody's expectation.
Yes. Expectations. Those are big. What we
They
expect
are.
out
Some
of things.
people's are bigger than others.
Yes. Yes.
And based on whatever you're doing sometimes. But if you don't, it's communication is really the key to helping everybody get the end result.
Yes. So have you ever fired anybody?
Yes, I have. I am very particular about the level of service that we provide. So when we work with partner providers, I expect that they meet that high level of quality as well. So if you can't, there's probably not a second chance in it for you.
That's a clear boundary.
And it's setting really clear expectations about when you come on board and what we expect. And then it's a non-negotiable for me.
Yes. And that's the clear boundary of communication, which is why your business is so successful. Because there's clarity. Mm-hmm. Have you ever fired a client?
I have. That's harder.
That's harder?
It is harder. I think I've held on longer than I should have. When you know it doesn't work and it's not a good fit, and you keep trying to pound that square peg into the round hole, or you think it's you, and that's usually my tendency. It must be me. I can figure out how to fix almost everything. So I will figure out how to make this work. And sometimes it just doesn't work. And you have to be clear with the client too, that maybe we're not the best fit for you. This is really what I think you're looking for. And let us help you find that so that you can go work with somebody else who can really solve your needs. So yes, we've had to do that a couple of times.
That's why I was asking you, because you're really good at problem solving and seeing things and seeing solutions. You're really good at that. But then there's always that possibility of a disconnect or a mismatch, even if we don't see it to start with.
Oh, absolutely. Especially where we work we work very closely. We're very entwined in people's lives, very personally. We see all sides of things and do things for them. And you have to be able to get on that same page together and work together and respect each other.
Respect. Yep. I love it. I love it. So what do you do for your own personal stress relief? Because this is a lot. Like, you manage a family, and a really business and a team of people. And so what does Nicole do for her own stress relief?
I meditate every day. That's always important to me. It's one of those things that if I set it, I'm very intentional about it, because if I miss it, my day runs differently. and getting outside. Those two things are really important to how my day flows and flexible. During this time with COVID, with my daughter being home, we've incorporated walks into our day. And she'll say, this is the best time that we have together because we're unplugged from everything else. When you step outside and you just take a walk and you watch the birds and you just reconnect with life.
Right.
You disconnect from some of the busyness.
And I think that's so important, especially during all this time of COVID and all the uncertainties in the world, to take a minute and disconnect and unplug and go outside and be in nature and just let it all go, all the static and electronics and stuff go, and just be connected to the birds. We have a lot of bunnies in my neighborhood, and I love watching the little bunnies. They're so
cute. We
have
some of them too. We have a retention pond behind our place. So it's like our own personal Audubon society. We have more unique and different birds to watch all the time.
Yeah, there you go. So that's a perfect way to connect with nature, is just go be with whatever the nature is around us.
It is. I think it's just shutting off some of the outside noise, and just sometimes you just have to sit and be quiet once in a while to hear everything else.
Yes. Some things we can only hear in the silence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true. That's true. So when you look ahead at the years ahead at your own life, what kinds of things do you see?
Well, I hope to see more travel in my own future, as well as in the future for our clients again. And we are looking to branch into Nashville. So we're taking Carver Concierge is going to have a location there. There's hopefully in 2020 still. We keep bumping the timeline out a little bit. We've had some setbacks, but we're ready. We're ready to expand our services and offer those to more clients in a new location. And again, to be out and travel and see new people and meet new people and take my family places. That's the future plan.
Oh, that's a great plan. And we're going to hold that vision for you. And so Nashville is your next location. How great. I have lots of friends in Nashville.
Oh, good.
A lot of contacts in Nashville, a lot of friends and business people I know there. It's a beautiful city.
It is a beautiful city. It's going to be a great, fun place to be.
Yes. And you'll get to travel in between.
We will, right? That's the best part about living in Tampa, too. We're such a central hub to every other place you want to go in the world.
That's right. You just go get on a plane.
That's right. As soon as we can.
Yes. So what kinds of things do you engage in for your own development, business-wise and personally? Because we always are growing, and I know you meditate every day. That's a big part of personal development. But is there anything else that you do that helps you develop yourself as a mom and a woman and a business owner and all of those things that you would like to talk about?
Well, from the business side, I've had a coach basically all through my business career as an entrepreneur. And that keeps me focused. They keep me on track. They help stimulate new ideas. And I think that's a huge piece. I also am part of a concierge collaborative. So coming together with other people that do like-minded things, or just other business women participating in a mastermind. I think those are always great places to rejuvenate your own ideas and keep the juices flowing and keep things new and positive. It's really important.
Yeah, I think that having connection with other people, like real connection with other like-minded people that get us in whatever the venue is vital to our success.
It is. It is. Absolutely. And then just staying in touch with friends and family, and as spending time with them when you can.
Yes, that's amazing. So is there anything you wanted to talk about that I haven't covered yet? Because I know I've asked you a ton of questions, and I love talking about these things, because I mean, when you think about organizing and delegating your life, it's personal and it's business. It's it's yes to all of it, so I have so many things. And so is there anything that I'm missing, or anything that you came on the show thinking, oh, I want to talk about this and I didn't ask?
I think we talked about a lot of things. I just think what brings me the joy in what we do is even the small things and the piece to the big things that we do helps move other people's life forward in the right direction. It helps get them where they want to go a little quicker. It makes the road a little easier. And that's really why we do what we do, why I do what I do.
And so that's a real definition of a service leader, right?
There's joy in it. We've done some really amazing relocation projects where we've managed everything and tackled some big things, and just knowing that how easy it was for somebody else to whether it was the woman who was moving out of her home to somebody who's maybe moving to a new state or a new town or incoming into Tampa, or just the everyday list. It really does make what we do does make a difference in somebody else's life. And that's a good feeling.
That's great. I love it. So my final question is, for the billboard that the whole world's going to see, what would you put on it?
Stay tuned. Great things coming soon.
Oh, I love that. Stay tuned. Great things are coming soon. That's
Always.
That is great, because there's always something great right around the bend. There's always something great right here, right now.
Yep. Keep watching. Great things are coming.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Nicole, for being on the show with me today and letting me ask you all these great questions, because I'm always fascinated by watching the work that you do and your passion for it and your ability to be such a great woman, a great leader, a great mom, a great wife. It's like you have found this great equilibrium type balance that I really admire. So thank you for taking time out with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Diane. It was such a pleasure.
So remember, everybody, if you have heard anything that Nicole said and you're like, oh man, I got to know her, go to the show notes right now and connect with her, because there's links there of how you can follow her on social media, how you can connect with her directly, and allow her to support you in the same way that maybe you're looking for and didn't know it was possible. I'm sure she'll have a solution for you somehow, some way. But let her know you heard her here, so she can realize that everything she's doing is even more magnificent than even she can see. So remember to keep your face to the sun, because the shadows fall behind you then. You're a rock star and you're here on purpose with a purpose. So all of us, let's go out there and make a difference and make some noise with our gifts, with a lot of joy in our heart. Until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, be well.